Ready.
All right, let's do this. We'll have a good show in three, two, one. We are live, and hello everyone. Welcome back to Real Time Talk. I am Quentin Anderson, and today's guest we have Natalie Hardaway. And to briefly introduce Natalie, she has been working in the API integration space for the past 10 years and has a unique opportunity to work with many enterprise and the software companies that serve those, transforming digitally and weaving APIs into experiences to make them more engaging. She believes VR gives a new canvas to create these experiences within, and that APIs are the key to connecting the virtual world to the tangible world. In other words, ordering a short shirt in a virtual storeroom and having it arrive on your doorstep the next day, which sounds very, very interesting. Natalie, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. It's dumping snow where I am here, but thankful to be warm and inside and to be here with you today. Thanks for having me.
Yes, hopefully you're staying warm. And for all of you who are joining for the first time today, this is a live show, and we of course encourage asking questions during the show. This is all about providing information that's important for you, and the best way to do that is to ask questions. So the easiest way is to just write your question in the YouTube chat, and then we will receive it and ask the question to Natalie on the show. But just to go ahead and get started, Natalie, can you share just a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I grew up in Seattle, and when I was a junior in college at Gonzaga, I had a job at the student newspaper selling ads, which was my first sales job ever. I went on after college and I worked as an intern for a company called Cloud Elements, which at the time that I joined was about 12 people based out of Denver, Colorado. And when I got there, I didn't know what APIs were at all. And I'd never worked in a business setting because I was a college student. So I hadn't used B2B software applications or business applications. I'd never used a CRM, or I never really emailed for business, right? And so I had very little understanding of sort of the business application landscape and then what APIs were used for, kind of in that realm. But when I got to Cloud Elements, I learned a lot, and I ended up joining the team full time after I graduated from college. And we grew from 12 people to about 120. And then I actually facilitated the connection between Cloud Elements and UiPath, which was a RPA automation platform that acquired Cloud Elements in what was that? That was March of 2021. And I was at UiPath for a short while before I left to go join another API startup called Nylas, which is where I'm at today. So I've been in the API sphere for a while. And the way that both Cloud Elements and Nylas go to market is we sell to B2B software platforms. And those products use our APIs to build out features in their applications. Specifically at Nylas, those features are email and scheduling type features within a lot of CRMs or applicant tracking systems, things like that. So hopefully that's a helpful background. I can expand on anything if that's helpful. But
Yeah, no, that's very helpful. And then, and I'm also admittedly a noob when it comes to APIs. Would you mind just explaining to me and the audience what is an API? Why are they important? What do they do?
yeah. So it stands for Application Programming Interface, but it's basically the way that applications talk to one another. So if from a consumer point of view, you log into Facebook and you're able to connect your Facebook with your Instagram. That's an API integration or connection that's facilitating the data sharing of data between different applications. So in a business setting, for a Nylas example, a CRM application, a customer relationship management app. I'm a salesperson, right? So I use a CRM every day. Salesforce is the big one. CRM apps need to integrate to other applications so that I can be productive and get my work done. So as a salesperson and a user of Salesforce, what I don't want to do is I don't want to have my email open over here and then Salesforce open over here, but I'm trying to get my work done with multiple windows up, right? I want to be in the Salesforce app And I want to be able to send and receive emails to my customers, to schedule meetings, to look at my availability, and just sort of manage my day to day all from within one application. And so that's the power of APIs, is to bring applications together and to deliver better user experiences to people like me. And, there's a lot of implications for that, but that's just one kind of example.
Got it. So it's sort of like the fabric that weaves applications together. So, we
Yeah.
can use Salesforce for emails and prospecting and calls and follow up rather than, having Outlook open and then Salesforce open and then maybe, I don't know,
Right.
Excel
Yeah.
open or HubSpot, something like that.
Well, and the crux of the problem that the companies that I've worked for solve is that integration to one thing's hard enough. So integrating to one version of Microsoft is challenging. But if your users kind of vary in the systems that they're using, you need to integrate to every version of an email service provider. So you have to
Mm.
support every one. And so the challenge of integrating is exponential, because you not only have to do one integration and maintain it, but then you have to go learn this new link. Like every AP, no API is the same, right? So the way that Microsoft writes their APIs and then updates their APIs is much different from the way that Google does. And so that's what Nylas is really doing at the core of what we're doing, is we're kind of that universal API translator, if you will, helping applications integrate once to us, and then we translate out to the different endpoints so that there's just that single point of integration.
And what excites you, or what do you enjoy about being part of? Because I mean, APIs are, I mean, they're so massive. I mean, they're so important. What about it for you is so interesting and fascinating to?
I think that I'm a people person and I like to learn, and I'm kind of a nerd, a tech nerd. So I enjoy the opportunity to get to know what my customers are building and doing.
Mhm.
And integration can really like make or break a user experience, right? So if you're trying to use an application that doesn't connect to XYZ, you're not loving it. It's not a great experience that you're having. And so it's really cool to see sort of the art of the possible and what can be done with our platform. It kind of frees up developers and teams to actually do more with less, right? Because we're limiting the resources they need to do those integrations, so they can build more engaging experiences and grow their companies. Because quite often, what B2B SaaS platforms will find is that offering an integration to Salesforce or to Gmail or to Outlook or whatever is on the RFP. Like it's there. Like if you don't offer it, we're not interested in doing business with you. So it's really cool to see the impact that we can have on a company being able to, get to their full potential and grow.
Hmm.
Um, and, it's, there's also the level of, while we sell to the product leader at a software vendor, they sell to anyone and everyone. There's companies that are Fortune 50, and there's companies that are, a 3-person startup that are using the technology that we're powering within these applications. And so it's just really interesting to see sort of that ripple effect, that you can have in the API economy of who you can reach with the features that you provide.
So with so many different types of applications for enterprise companies for APIs, do you have any services that are of interest to you or you think are particularly interesting? And I know we've kind of chatted offline about conversational AI, but do you have any areas that are of particular interest for you?
Yeah, I am a pretty, because I'm aware of what can be and the experiences that brands can deliver for customers. I am a pretty how to say it. I'm a pretty like brutal customer sometimes. Like I call an 800 number and I'm like, this is terrible. I mean, they're just like, you should know who I am. I've already said who I am. And someone answers the phone and they make me repeat all the things that I've already said. And so I'm interested in sort of that contact center conversational AI space because of my own experience as a consumer, and then my understanding of sort of the software world that exists to meet the challenge that those enterprises face. And then, those enterprises that do it well, the impact that can have on people like me and my experience of a brand. So that space is really interesting to me. And actually, a space that I'm moving into at Nylas is leading our contact center, conversational AI, unified communication, CPaaS. There's a bunch of different acronyms for it, but it's all around consumer experience and making that more cohesive and better, and decreasing the cost that it costs for enterprises to actually support customers. So if an agent has to answer the phone and be on the phone for a minute, that's really expensive. But if a company can harness APIs and get access to data about me from their CRM and their marketing system and their loyalty database and all the different systems they have, so that the chat bot knows me and knows how to service me, that's a better experience for me, and it's a cheaper experience for the brand. So that's an area that interests me. And then completely different is the veterinary world, because my husband's a veterinarian, and that world is ripe for transformation as well. So less time he has to spend doing his job, the more time I get with him. So those are the two that come readily to mind.
Cool. Well, let's explore both of them then, because and you said something that was interesting. You mentioned that it's all about the user experience, right? And so if I don't know if I need to cancel a subscription, if it's done through a chat bot, and it remembers me and it knows what my concerns are, and it's able to provide the cancellation or the refund or whatever, would you define that as a good user experience, or just as good as having a conversation with someone and getting the same result? It doesn't matter how it's done, as long as at the end result is all about how the experience was delivered. Or what do you think?
Yeah. I think that there are certain experiences that lend better to having like human to human interaction. And for certain people, like my grandparents, want to talk to people. They don't want to go on a website and
Mm,
chat with, they wouldn't even know how to do that. So there's some generational stuff there. But I think that when you're trying to get something done, like I'm on calls, I've got a job, I have a family, like I don't really like, if it's going to be the quickest way to cancel my subscription or to buy a new thing or to like check on an order that's been delayed, like I really in a lot of those cases only care about it being quick and easy. And I believe that the more advanced that conversational AI and AI in general is becoming, the more that we are going to not know the difference between a human and a chatbot. Um, it's not really true across the board today. I mean, I've done a lot of research by going to different websites and trying to see what their chatbots can do. And a use case that we support in that realm is scheduling. So something that I've done on every website is like, I want to meet with a wealth manager on a bank's website, or I want to book an appointment to come test drive a car. And those just don't work
mm.
across the board. And that's a good example of, an opportunity for scheduling, and that Nihilist can go serve. Um, but I guess the short answer to your question is I just want to get it done.
Right.
um, and I think that there will be, it'll be hard to differentiate what's a bot and what's a human with the more advancement that comes in that realm.
Yeah, yeah, and we were kind of talking about Chat GPT before we went online. That thing is crazy. It's hard sometimes to tell if there's really just a lot of people instead of a machine sending me responses. But so how does Nihilus help improve conversational AI through APIs? Like how does that play into the whole thing?
Yeah. Well, a use case, I mean, just to dive in on that bank use case, if you go to basically any bank's website today and you want to invest money, you want to meet with a wealth manager, or you want to meet with like the loan department,
Hmm.
the mortgage department for a home. Um, the experience on almost every website that I've done my research is you fill out a form, you say how much money you have to invest, you say your first name, last name, email, and your location. And then you hit submit, and a screen pops up that says, "Thank you for sharing your information. We'll call you soon." Or if you want to talk to us sooner, here's an 800 number. And I think that, as you have the enterprises have that bank has that opportunity to convert me in that moment. I mean, I'm raising my hand. I want to talk to someone. I want to book that meeting. And every mortgage banker and every wealth manager is using probably Outlook. Google is growing in the enterprise realm, but they're using a normal calendar, just like you and I use for work. So the fact that I, as the consumer, can't put in my inputs and have that enterprise do some logic on the back end to say, okay, Natalie lives in Bozeman, Montana. She has $1 billion to invest. That'd be nice. And these are the things about her, and then route me accordingly to this wealth manager to meet with, and then tell me, based on where you are, we're connecting you with so and so. They have these 3 times available. That's the power of what Nylas can do in that use case. Is we have APIs for looking up availability of people. We have APIs for doing round robin availability. If there was a team of real estate agents that wanted to round robin leads that come in, so many implications for it. But it's really about converting your prospects when they want to be converted. I actually got a call back from Goldman Sachs, not to put them on blast, but I did that with a bunch of banks. And I remember Goldman Sachs calling me like 4 days later, and I'd forgotten that I'd done that. And I was on a call and I thought that it was my doctor or something. So I answered, and it wasn't. And I was just irritated. And I wasn't a good prospect anyway, because I was just doing research. But had I been a good prospect, I very likely could have been in that same situation, like frustrated with the interruption to my day. So I think there's a huge opportunity to leverage calendar APIs to get real-time availability of subject matter experts, and then empower the consumers to book their calendar. And that there's so many use cases for it.
Yeah. So yeah, calendar. There are lots of calendar programs that already exist. So the magic that Nylas provides is the API, which can connect a calendar to a conversational AI chatbot, so you can improve the experience. Where I'm interested in that moment, so let's make forward progress in that moment, and not 4 days later.
Totally. Yeah. And the realm that we play in, we're pretty hidden to the consumer. So I was sort of an analogy that I use is we're kind of like Gore-Tex. We get woven into software applications, except for we don't get the credit that Gore-Tex gets. We don't get our little logo on their tag, right? We're OEM'd or white labeled by the actual software application. So my job at Nylas is to work and partner with the conversational AI, the unified communications, those types of platforms that choose to use our APIs to build out that connector and that feature set within their platform to, empower all of their customers to take advantage of it.
Yeah. And people all the time say, Eagle, your business model or your product isn't sexy at all. And it's like, yeah, we know. But sometimes it's nice to not be in the limelight, because a lot of people like to be in the limelight. So, and I don't know if that's the case with Nylas, but that.
Don't care. Yeah, it is much more scalable and easy to support the one customer that we have that is in turn supporting their millions of their customers. Like we're like tier 2 support. So from like a scalability perspective, we might be powering billions of transactions a day, but we're only talking to 900 direct customers, right? So it gives us the opportunity to have a much wider reach than we would if we went like direct to consumer or to market in different ways.
So how would technology intersect with the veterinary world? What are some ideas that you see there?
Yeah. Well, not to harp on our vet clinic, because it's Hardaway Vet Clinic and I love them because it's our small business here in Montana.
Cool.
But I sat at the front desk of our clinic on a Saturday and just watched what some of their processes look like. And for example, if you are a new customer and you want to book an appointment, you go to our website and you fill out a form. And at the very end of the form, it says, when do you want to have your appointment? Which is the most ridiculous question that you could ask. I mean, in my opinion, it's like, you shouldn't be asking the consumer when they want to have an appointment, because the time they say Tuesday at 3, there's such a little chance that Tuesday at 3 for the vet that they're going to be connected to is going to work. They just are guessing at a time that might work for them. So what happens on the back end is our front office receptionist gets an email to Outlook,
Hmm.
and the email's structured. It's the same type of email every time that has those fields. And actually, the day I was there, somebody printed out the piece of paper and looked at the piece of paper and then opened up the veterinary software. We use a tool called EasyVet. And they just typed in the data from the sheet they had printed into the system. And then, of course, the Tuesday at 3 o'clock didn't work. So they pick up the phone and they call the customer, hey, these are some times that might work better. And they book it and then they put it in the calendar. So you might be starting to kind of go there in your mind with the calendar use case, but the ability to get access to the vet clinic's calendar and have logic on the back end so that when a person says it's a new puppy visit, that they're going to round robin that equally to all of the vets, depending on the days they work or whatever. There's some logic there. But the ability for the consumer to actually book an appointment and then, of course, synchronize the data that they input directly into the system without having to manually input that data from application A to application B. So some of that there is just, we could be using EasyVet probably a little bit more effectively, but in general, in the veterinary world, it is far behind the human world in, the sharing of data between different systems. In the human world, it's actually, there's a lot of red tape because of HIPAA, but, there's a lot of opportunity for automation and transformation and to improve the customer experience so that when they go to our website, they can book their visit right then and there.
And so, have you pitched any of these ideas for the Hardaway Veterinary Clinic? Or
Yes. And part of it is just, I've been in the API integration space and the RPA space. UiPath is a robotics process automation platform. And basically what RPA is it's applying what UiPath does and what they're founded to do is UI-based automation. So let's say that you're an accountant and you're doing payroll or something, and you're having to input data from Excel into your HR system manually every 3 weeks. Well, if there is enough of a pattern of what you're doing, UI-based automation can learn what you're doing and then apply robots, virtual assistants, to actually do that manual entry for you.
Wow.
So there are some use cases, actually when they acquired Cloud Elements, we were the API, they're the UI-based automation, and we were the API piece to their story. So when they acquired Cloud Elements, I remember being on a call with a sales rep, a UiPath sales rep, and he was on a call with a customer, and the customer said, well, we don't have an API for that. And he was like, perfect. That's what UiPath is best for, because when there's not APIs, you can use UI-based automation to get stuff. Right? You can scrape the UI or you can learn the UI and you can pick up data that way. So all of that is to say, regardless of if the veterinary stack that we use has APIs or doesn't have APIs, there's the ability to automate a lot of it, whether you're using a system like UiPath or there's a lot of different RPA tools out there. But the answer to your question is I just need to learn how to use them or start working with people that are a lot smarter than me and figure out how we can kind of automate some of our own processes therein. But there's definitely no shortage of things to work on. Just a matter of figuring out which one to start with and going from there.
Right. Because these days, pretty much everyone has their API suite. Right. Like if you're a software, you're trying to be relevant and trying to be competitive, and in 2022, then you've got to have, your API information. When you have your sales hat on, how much of it do you spend being technical, talking about APIs, and how much of it do you focus on not the technical stuff? Because how are sales made? Are they made, knowing the most about APIs in the world, or is it about customer relationships, or both, or how have you succeeded?
That's a good question. I think that it's being naturally curious and wanting to understand everything about what the customer is trying to build and trying to do.
Hmm.
Something that if I were to stack rank what I enjoy doing, it would be the technical first and then the commercial second. Because when you're an API product, if it fits the bill from a technical perspective, you're probably going to win the deal. So that just kind of falls into place. And our CRO, if he was listening to this, would be like, you have to know your, mutual action plan and, the steps to close, and all of that is really important. But you're not going to get there if you don't earn the trust of your customer and know what they're trying to build and how you can fit into that. So something that I enjoy doing the most out of my job is like mocking up user experiences. So I
Hmm.
will go to a bank's website and find that I'll do the chat bot chat, and I'll say, I want to meet with a wealth manager. And the bot will say, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that, but an agent will be coming shortly. And I'll like screenshot that and put it in Canva and superimpose a white box over the chat and like put on the text of what that bot could say to me if that bank was using a platform that we were embedded within, right? So let's say that bank is using Genesis, which is a contact center platform. If Genesis was our customer, then that experience would be such that I could say, I want to have a meeting, and I could have actually booked it right in line within that chat. So I will do that quite often. I'll go and I'll do my research, and I'll even go so far as to go to Genesis customer list, pick out one of the banks that they say are one of their customers, go to that customer's website and try to see what I can do in the realm of scheduling or emailing. And then use that to kind of show someone, hey, if you were to partner with us, this is the end result. This is the art of the possible that you could deliver with our platform. So I'm definitely more interested in the technical side than I am the commercial side. But both are important.
Then that's a brilliant approach. Just a little, UI drawing in Canva. Hey, this is how we can change things for you. So, do
Yeah.
you spend most of your time on the consumer face or the client side, so dealing with clients, or are you also involved with building relationships with suppliers that you can tap into through your API system, um, and build out a more robust portfolio? Or are you mostly on the client side, or are you both?
Well, for it's kind of we talk about like customers and partners, but they're kind of one and the same. It's just consumers of our APIs. So whether it's a chief product officer at a CRM software company, or it's a digital group within a bank or a digital group within a shipping company that's building a mobile application for their consumers, and that mobile app needs to integrate to Gmail and Outlook to, you know, pull out order confirmation details or something like that to show on the app. So I I don't know if that would be considered, you know, supplier or what, from the options that you gave me, but really I spend my time working with whether it's software companies that are building out their application or enterprises that are building out digital applications. I work with people that are building apps and they want to make those apps better and more engaging. And so they come to us. Like I actually have a customer that's, knock on wood, almost signed. It's a bank, and they I can't say the name, but they've recently launched an app that I kind of equate to like Tinder, but it's for bankers and startup founders.
Oh, that's a
So
cool idea.
yeah. So it's this application where you can come in and you can get connected to um, investors, right? You can come in and you can find investors that align with what you need. And a key function once you find that investor is booking a meeting with them, right? So they're using our APIs to facilitate the ability within their app to allow the investor and the founder to meet with each other. And then, of course, synchronize that to their Outlook or their Gmail or whatever they might be using on the back end. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does, and fingers crossed on the deal. I have a feeling that you'll be having good news shortly
We've been
on it.
going through we're on month eight of procurement. So if this thing doesn't close, then they wasted a lot of money too. So
Yeah, something tells me it'll be sooner rather than later. We are already up on our half hour. Natalie, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to meet with us. If anyone watching would like to contact you, is there a best way in order to do that?
Yeah, you can, let's see, LinkedIn, Natalie Hardaway might be the easiest, or natalie.h@nylas.com. And I'm sorry we didn't even get to talk about the metaverse and the virtual world and how APIs connect in, but thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. In a way, we did because I mean, it is APIs are such the fabric of pretty much everything we're doing digitally these days, and connecting the physical. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Natalie, for your time. I'm Quentin Anderson. This is Real Time Talk with Eagle 3D Streaming, and we will catch you on the next